Hey, welcome to this edition of the Handy Randy TV show. We're going to talk about wiper blades, and no one better than the president of RainEater Wiper Blades, my friend Lance Thornton from Wiper Blade City.
That's it.
It snows a lot from where you're from. Tell us about that, Lance.
Yes, I live in an area which we are consistently a third, in a city that has the third most amount of rain and snowfall.
And that being?
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie, PA. All that lake effect that can affect everyone from that area of the United States seems to end up right on top of Erie, PA. So what better person than Lance Thornton, the president of RainEater Wiper Blades, to talk about wiper blades and wiper blade technology. Wiper blade technology for the longest time never changed. A lady from Detroit,
I believe it was Detroit area,
came up with the idea, where we always think it's a male-dominated market and men had to do with making a Henry Ford and all that, but leave it to the lady to figure out something was pretty important.
Yes, the first patent was a female on the wiper blade, and the second patent, as we know wiper blades today, was by another female. So the first two patents were by ladies.
Yeah, I've seen some antique cars, being around cars all the time, and old Fords, old vehicles that had a hand crank that you could actually, with no motor necessary, you just move the crank and the wiper blade would go back and forth. But the original patent was even more archaic than that.
Yes, we believe it was. We have a copy of the patent in my office, and it's hard to read them, the schematic, but it was on a counterweight. So you pull to bring the wiper blade up, and at a counterweight to bring it down by itself.
So better than getting out and in harm's way.
That is correct. That's how the first wiper blade was invented, the story is. Unfortunately, I wasn't alive 100 years ago, okay, to be there, but she stated that she kept her husband driving the car, and she would have to get out and wipe the windshield as he's driving or clear it, and she was driving and an oncoming car came and almost hit them while she was outside cleaning the windshield as he was driving. And that's what she said, there has to be a safer way of doing this. And still today, wiper blades are the second most important safety feature on your car behind brakes.
Wow. Wiper blades, very important. And that technology that they came up with over 100 years ago stayed the same for a very long time until the frameless blade that you offer came around.
That is correct. Wiper blades really didn't change much at all, Handy Randy. Wiper blades still had that frame. The wiper blades you and I grew up with, knowing that our great-grandparents grew up with and their grandparents grew up with, were basically a framed wiper blade with those little arms going out to hold a piece of rubber. That's basically what it had to stay until recently in the last few years, which now the technology in wiper blades have advanced at such a great speed. Today, wiper blades, especially ours, have zero frame to them. They do not have any of those arms to them anymore.
We have in front of us that blade that you offer, and as you can see, no frame at all. And the beauty, there's a couple things that are built into this blade, but yours in particular, it seems as if this portion of the frameless blade is built up a little bit here. There's reason to that madness?
Absolutely. When we designed this wiper blade, what we did was we took aerospace technology, okay, that had been out there. And what we knew is that a wiper blade in itself has wind coming over it. And a lot of people that were looking at wiper blades, and when this new technology came out, they just put a spoiler, what looked like a spoiler, all the way across. And when you really put it in a wind tunnel, it had very little effect to it. It was more of a cosmetic thing, so people think it looks cool, it has a spoiler. But because of our company, Designs and Engineer, that's what we do. We're an engineering and design firm and that's all we do is wiper blades, is we focused on how is this really functional? Can we improve it? And so what we've done is, this is a brand new wiper blade, brand new on the market. It comes out on October 17th to the market. And what we've done is we've completely redone the wiper blade and that this spoiler, it's lower here, higher here, and the rate of pitch as the wind hits it is slighter here and steeper here, which causes greater downward pressure. So it actually is a real working spoiler, not for visual effect. The next thing is, I don't know if the camera can see in there, but there is, see on right here, there's also sub spoilers, and they actually angle in at about a 22.5 degree, and those are in there to cause more friction and more violent wind coming over. So when you look at it under wind tunnel, it's not pretty, it's very violent, and that's good because it causes greater downward pressure. Everybody that's had a wiper blade and driven a car knows that sometimes those wiper blades lift off. Well, one of the problems with this technology is wiper blades were lifting off just a little bit. So we got rid of that by changing the wiper blade spoiler. We actually believe, and we state that we make and design the world's best wiper blade.
It seems as if as a wiper wears, or even a new wiper that's inferior, it's always right at the eye level is where the least effect was and where you need it the most.
That is correct. That is where you had the most wind hitting it and the most violent part of the wind, because the wiper blade is sitting at a 45 and also moving, and so that's where it caused the wiper blade literally to lift off the windshield because of the vortex action. Again, I don't mean to be technical with you, an engineer, but that's what would happen, is that the wind would come over and start lifting the wiper blade off, and so everybody says it lifts off right where I see it. Well, that's because that's where it's the most violent.
Another factor into the RainEater wiper blade is the quality of the rubber. Actually, it's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. And you have told me that in lab testing, that means a lot as far as the longevity of the blade. Tell us about that, Lance.
Absolutely. The thing about a wiper blade is that the most expensive part is the rubber, okay? And if you want to save money on a wiper blade, rubber's where to go because there's so much of it. We use a very highly synthetic petroleum-based rubber, okay? And we do that so it's more flexible, okay? I'm not going to dazzle you with 3 edges or 10 edges or 2 wipes. It is the quality is in the rubber. What we also do that's different is that there is right here, Randy, there is the rubber actually, we mold it into the steel. So no longer is wiper blade have the blade is glued or is attached to the steel. Ours is actually molded in, and that actually gives it longer life, and also it's not going to come off. So definitely the rubber is where you have the best effect. Our wiper blades in the laboratory, the typical wiper blade today in the market, you can buy at one of these large retailers that has a very low end. You can buy a $5 wiper blade today. You're going to get 250 to 300,000 wipes. With ours, you should be able to get 1.5 million wipes. That's in the laboratory.
That's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference, and I still recommend you should change your wiper blade every 6 months, even if you don't need them. I don't care if it's mine or somebody else's. When do you need to change the wiper blade? When it's gone bad. And how do you know it's bad? Because it's a blizzard out. You don't want to change your wiper blade then. So I still recommend, even though, you don't want to wait till the wiper blade's at its worst before you change it. You'll always change it being proactive. So when you get an oil change or getting a serviced or warranty checks, change your wiper blade.
There's a couple other things I want to talk about when it comes to the RainEater wiper blade that makes this the world's best wiper blade. But before we go there, I'm a big NASCAR fan, and my favorite track of all times happens to be in Bristol, Tennessee. And it's just the setting of the track, where it sets amongst the mountains. It's a short track with a big bowl, hardly a bad seat in the house. I had maybe the worst seat in the house. I was given some tickets by a manufacturer, and I thought, great, I'm in the second row at turn 1.
No.
Unfortunately, it's so low that you can't see the cars coming into turn 1. So it was loud and it was exciting, but it wasn't the best seat. Maybe being up a few rows would have been better. But anyway, Bristol, Tennessee, the night race was just exciting. And RainEater wiper blades had a big part in that race this year. Tell us about that.
Yes, we did. It was exciting this year. We actually were very fortunate to be invited to join the Richard Petty Motorsports team on the iconic number 43 car that Richard himself used to drive. Eric Amarola invited us on with Richard Petty, and we teamed up with them, and also Victor Junction Camp. So we were excited. And I got to tell you, I had a worse seat than you. I was standing on top of the hauler with Richard Petty watching time trials, and there was a scoreboard that was blocking my view for a little bit. So I did have a bad seat.
But you were sitting right next to Richard Petty, so it's hard to complain too much, Lance. Come on.
Yes, I did have a good seat, yes.
You talk about the most prolific NASCAR driver of all time and most recognizable number of all the NASCARs, even as much as maybe number 3 was number 43, because number 43 still exists, still out there racing every Sunday.
That is correct.
Now, how does wiper blades and racing, how does that coordinate, and what does it mean to RainEater Wiper Blades?
Sure. When we're, as I stated, we are in engineering. That's our priority. We make sure that we make the best product. And by making the best product, you have to have somewhere to sell it. You know, people have to buy it. And we have 10 employees, we're a small company, and all 10 want to get paid. And so we have to sell it somewhere. And what we were looking at the avenues and where we can go, we decided that we're going to choose NASCAR and go racing, not just in the Sprint Cup Series and the Nationwide Series and the KnN Series, which we've had great success, but also at the small tracks. We have found that teaming up with the guys that work on their cars during a week after work, working in a factory, or working at the office as accountants or doctors, and on the weekends they go take that car and they drive around the track, and after that they get their $5 check or their $10 check.
Or their little trophy.
Yeah, that little trophy. And you know what? There's no trophy girl, but they do it because they love racing. And that's who we want to support, because just like us, we love what we do. We take a passion. My kids call me, you know, odd. My kids call me a nerd because I walk through a parking lot and I look at wiper blades. Okay? But I have a passion. I have a passion for what I do, just the same passion these guys have for racing. And I thought that was a great partnership for us to go in that direction. So you may not see us on a given Friday night or a Saturday night on national TV, but trust me, we're out there supporting the local racers and that just aren't making the news, but there you have the passion, and that's what we love, and that's why we've chosen racing.
In my experience on those local tracks, whether it be a dirt track or an asphalt track, it's not just the racer, but it's the whole family. It's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and the grandkids. They're all out there, and it's really a family sport. Now, you had mentioned KnN Series, not widely known. We know, of course, the nationwide, and of course the truck races, and even maybe some of us, a little more expert, we know about the ARCA or ASA, but the KnN Series, you've kind of hooked up with a special young man in the KnN Series, and he's unique because he's so young. Tell us about your KnN racer.
Sure. We are, again, very fortunate. We have just one of the great things about having this company and being part of this company and watching it grow is the great opportunities we have. And one of them was KnN. First of all, KnN, most people don't realize, is you have the Sprint Cup, then you have what, if you're going to call it in graduation-wise, Sprint Cup is a senior class, the Nationwide is a junior class, truck race is a sophomore class, KnN is the first, it's the freshman class. It's where the people that are leaving ARCA and want to go to NASCAR, they have to qualify within the KnN to get their NASCAR license. And that's always, Danica did it, you know, Dale Sr. did it, you know, as it went along. ARCA has purchased, NASCAR had purchased the KnN Series for that. Now, it is real NASCAR racing. It is heart-driven. We were fortunate that we have a driver, Kyle Benjamin, 15 years old. He raced this year his first time in the ARCA Series, and on his first race, he got the pole, was the youngest pole sitter in ARCA history, and won the race, okay?
15.
And then 2 weeks later, went back and did it again, won again. And then our phone's been ringing, a lot of excitement. And then, of course, his management team and said, going KnN, you want to join us? And I was like, I'm on board. Again, my passion is to fuel other people's passion. I love it. And so he went to the track and finished third amongst guys that were anywhere from in their late 20s to early 50s, lifelongers, guys that have millions of dollars behind them. Here he is, just Kyle Benjamin and this team with Kenny Schrader. They went racing and he got third place.
That's huge. And
Huge.
again, like you said, that's hardcore racing.
That is.
With veteran, skilled drivers and high buck cars.
Very much so.
And he finished, and as a matter of fact, that initial race he was in, you tell me that he was leading the race for a good portion of the race and finished in third place, and that was at Dover, which was like one of the, it's a NASCAR track, huge.
Yes, it was actually driven on NASCAR weekend. So he also had the Sprint Cup and the nationwide crowd there with him to watch. And Dover, I love Dover. It's a great mile track. It reminds me of Bristol very much because of how tight it is. But he not only led laps, but he actually had spark plug issue. And they were able to get it fixed during the caution, came back, and he even led the laps after that and came in third again. NASCAR sport, people don't know who came in second, sure don't know who came in third. Okay, they always know who won, but to us, he definitely won the race.
And it was, the car had RainEater Wiper Blades on the side of it. And in the future, those of you that love racing, remember that name, Kyle Benjamin, 15 years old, and within a few years, you're going to be seeing Kyle Benjamin with a name on one of those huge cars, and we hope that RainEater Wiper Blade can continue with that association with Kyle. And I know Kyle and now has a new best friend in Lance Thornton and RainEater Wiper Blades. Now, I had mentioned getting back to the blades again and that important connection that you have, but I've sold wiper blades for well over 40 years. I've installed wiper blades for well over 40 years. And I've gone out in the parking lot because I was a parts person, and one of the things that we would offer to go out and install blades. The old style, and I'm going to call it a bayonet style arm, which was a straight in, and it was pretty simple. You lowered a little spring and pulled the blade out. That changed into a pin style, and now what we call a shepherd hook. And as the blade technology changed, the installation of the blades became more and more difficult. And this shepherd hook, which is kind of a neat idea, and again, the arm is in the shape of a shepherd hook, goes into the blade, internally into the blade, and clicks in, and it can be very difficult to remove and very difficult to install. You being an engineer, you came up with yet a better idea, and that is we don't have to go through the blade to do the install. So basically it's just a matter of the shepherd hook clicking in, snapping in, and the lid, I'll say, clicks down and we're done.
That is correct. And by the way, your gray hair ages you real well, but saying bayonet style, well, I don't even remember those. Okay? I can tell you right now, there's none in the engineering room in our place. I'm not an engineer, but I hire very smart engineers, okay? And so I help lead that team, but you are correct. One of the important things is making it easier. I think everybody that's here today watching has at some time that have changed the wiper blade, hook that little piece, that little flap, and pull the wiper blade and it snapped down, hit the end of your finger. When it hits the end of your finger, it hurts. That happened to me, and I said, I don't want to ever have that happen again, so how can I make it easier to install it and uninstall it? The uninstall part is the hardest part. So that's why we were able to design this, that you basically take the hook arm, as you stated, and not only does it come in here easy, but it has a double locking system. That way it has to go through those two in order to fall off. Next thing is I have a third locking system, which is right here, to lock it in and secure it. So again, we take it to heart that safety is our priority.
And believe me, folks, if you've ever done any installation, once you see this this blade and this locking system, you fall in love with it. And those people that are out in a parking lot during a rainstorm or a snowstorm will appreciate the fact that safety and ease in installation, it means a lot. And then one other factor, and that is being in the wiper business for a very long time and accustomed to that frame style blade that we were talking about. And those of you that live in an area that you get ice and snow, which is pretty much encompasses everybody out there that at least I know that cares about wiper blades, there's a lot of places on that frame that will trap ice and snow. When we need our blades the most, they don't work because of the snow trapped in the frame, and that it inhibits the rubber from meeting the windshield. There was a thing called the snow blade, which all it did was take that frame and wrapped it in rubber. This makes that obsolete.
Yes. We actually state that buying a winter blade today is like going to Blockbuster Video and asking for a beta tape or VCR tape. The technology is so old.
It's sort of like that bayonet wiper arm.
Yes. It is, the technology is old. The other analogy I have is based on today, a winter blade has virtually no flex. It's maybe a quarter an inch to a half inch on each side. Today's windshields are, if you know, are more round and are steeper. That's why now you get into 28-inch wiper blades. So also you need a blade that's flexible. And the other thing is, like the other analogy I have is like going to the airline industry and saying, may I please buy one of your seats as a recliner? You're only going back, what, an inch or two? That's the same flexibility. Our wiper blade is designed that it can be flexed completely, okay? And so when you go into today's windshields, last thing you want is you only see half the windshield when you have ice on your windshield. Winter blades were great for the technology of the time. We've gone way past that. There's no way the ice can get frozen in here to stop it from flexing. If it does happen, the entire wiper blade's under ice. Okay, so it's designed to also clean that off.
So here's the deal, folks. They're called RainEater Wiper Blades. You can go online at RainEater.com to find out more of this technology. While you're on that website, you can go into applications to make sure that there's a blade available for the vehicle that you drive, which probably 99% of the vehicles on the road, this RainEater wiper blade will work on. 97+%. That was a pretty good guess.
You're a pretty good guess.
And then availability. For an installer or a parts store in your neighborhood, again, you go on to RainEater.com and we can lead you right into whomever carries the blade in your area, or contact you at the phone number on the website, on the screen. Give them a call. There'll be someone there that can direct us with the right information as well.
That is correct. You can go to RainEater.com or you can call our phone number. And either one, we definitely help you. And what I encourage is to look at our locators guide, in which will direct you to a local place that sells our high quality wiper blade, and they all will install it for free and install it for you. So you don't just go walk in there, buy it, and take it home and try and figure it out. They'll all do it. Now, if you're a DIY type person and you want to do it yourself, you can actually order our wiper blades online, and a portion of all proceeds this year until the end of the NASCAR season goes to the Victory Junction camp, which helps disabled children go to summer camp.
Wonderful. So it's a way that Lance Thornton and his company, as he mentioned, a small company, only 10 employees, but giving back not only to the racing industry, but for children that touch our heart. So another reason why HandyRandyTv recommends RainEater Wiper Blades.